Shalom Matos Masei Chazak. We have just had the entrance of our founding member, founding president of the South Side, Nesivos Shalom walks in just on time. We'd like to welcome him. We'll start once again. Shalom Matos Masei Chazak. And it seems that every year, when we do the Shabbos Chazak Shir, Matos Masei, we have to mention that the next Shabbos Chazak, the next Chazak is Simchas Torah. And as much as we feel like we just passed Rosh Hashanah, Chanukah, Purim, Pesach, the summer is here, the next Chazak, and it comes and it goes very quickly, the next Chazak is on Simchas Torah, and it's right around the corner. And certainly tonight being Rosh Chodesh Av, the first day of the 9 days, or the second Shabbos of the 3 weeks, tonight being Rosh Chodesh Av tells us that Tisha B'Av is just a week away, and Rosh Chodesh Elul is 1 month away. So we're entering a different time of the year. We're entering a time of the year where we really have to be full of contemplation. First contemplating and thinking about the Churban Beis HaMikdash, what was some almost 2,000 years ago. And then we also have to be contemplating what will be in about a month from now when Rosh Chodesh Elul comes and we start to live a life of introspection, a life of thinking more about what we're doing. So we're right here in the middle of so much going on. But this Shabbos is Shabbos Chazak. And the Parshas Matos is a very, very interesting pasuk, interesting parsha. And the pasuk says, "Vayomer Elazar HaKohen El Anshei Hatzava Habayim LaMilchama." Elazar HaKohen told those that were actually going to war, but the pasuk uses a lashon of coming to war. Habayim LaMilchama Zois Chukas HaTorah. This is the chok, the chuk of the Torah, Tzivah Hashem es Moshe, that Hashem commanded Moshe Rabbeinu, and it says like this: Kol Dovar Asher Yovoi V'Eish. And we're talking now about the parsha of kashering Geulei Nochrim, kashering kalim that belonged to a goy, or kalim that were not kosher. So anything that was used with fire, Kol Dovar Asher Yovoi V'Eish, Taviru V'Eish. The way to kasher it is to put it through a fire. Without getting into all the halachas and ramifications right now, because they are many, but the pasuk says, anything that was not used with heat, that did not go through fire, ta'aviru b'mayim v'toher. You immerse it in water and it becomes tar. So the Nesivos Shalom says over here on this pasuk in Parshas Matos that we really need to understand why here at the parsha of Geulei Nochrim do we say that the pasuk uses a lashon of Zois Chukas HaTorah, that it's like a chukah, a rule, and something that we have to know for the whole Torah. We know by Pesach, for instance. By Pesach, the Torah tells us by Korban Zois Chukas HaPesach. Zois Chukas HaPesach. The Torah tells us this is the chayt, the law of Pesach. We don't use a lashon over there that's something that applies to the whole Torah, to your whole life. It is specific to the Pesach. And why here would the Torah use a lashon of Chukas HaTorah? Very interesting to note that, and interesting to try to get an explanation to that. Also, there's a question over here from the Das Zakein and Mibalei HaTosfos. And the following is asked: why was this parsha of Geulei Nochrim said, why did the Torah wait to say it? Why was this halacha said after the Milchemes Midian? Why didn't we say it before? If we want to say it, that maybe we had acquired kalim, we had acquired utensils that were from a non-Jew. So why didn't we say this parsha a little bit earlier in the Torah when we talked about the Milchemes Sichon V'Oid? Why did we wait to mention these halachas until after Milchemes Midian? So the Nesivos Shalom tells us a very interesting thing about Milchemes Midian, and it all depends, and if you know how the Nesivos Shalom, he has a totally different way that opens up your eyes and how you look at an event that happened in our history here in the Torah. Milchemes Midian, says in Nesivos Shalom, actually represents an ongoing milchama. And that is the Mulchama, that is the war with the Yetzer Hara. The war that every person has, a perpetual war. A war that goes on through entire history and it will continue to go on. Midian was the most severe test to Klal Yisrael up to this point. So if we're saying that the Melchemes Midian actually represents a Melchemes HaYetzer, the biggest Melchemes HaYetzer that they had to this point was definitely Melchemes Midian. Because Midian, what Midian wanted was to wipe out Klal Yisrael, especially spiritually. They wanted to wipe out Klal Yisrael. And Midian actually caused the death of 24,000 people, like we learned in the parasha last week. 24,000 people actually died because of Midian. And that was the most people that died from any chait that Klal Yisrael ever did. And the strength of the Yetzer Hara at that time, when we were battling Midian, was immense, says the Nesivos Shalom. And the Torah, which is of course, the Torah is a living Torah. The Torah doesn't just teach us things that happened in history. The Torah, which is of course always a live lesson to us. The Torah is alive. The Torah is telling us over here in our parsha that this over here is a guide and a lesson to each and every person. The lesson here of Melchemes Midian. Every person has a Yetzer Hara. Every person has their Yetzer Hara. Every person has the Yetzer Hara. Every person has a Yetzer Hara that they must fight with at all times. But there are two different ways of challenges that the Yetzer Hara gives every one of us. And one is the normal battles that we face every day. A Yetzer Hara of natural strength. When we have that, that is one way that we face the Yetzer Hara. And then there are times that everyone knows and everyone feels it. There are times that it's just so tough. There are times that the Yetzer Hara comes and he's ready to battle you. He's so powerful, he's almost more than we can handle. So it is to that, says the Nesivos Shalom, that type of Yetzer Hara, not the daily one where we have our battles that most of the time is just a little effort, we can overcome temptation, we can overcome the Yetzer Hara. But it's for that battle, the time that the Yetzer Hara comes to us in such a powerful way. That's what Elazar was telling those going to war. The pasuk says Elazar told those going to war, it's talking to every one of us who constantly, every day, go to war, the tough battles with the Yetzer Hara. And Elazar said, Zois chukas haTorah. I want to tell you something, says Elazar. This is a fact of life. Don't think because you battle Yetzer Hara and you get by it. Don't think because you're this great tzaddik and you learned the Blat Gemara that you're great enough and that you're not going to face your challenges of the Yetzer Hara. Zois chukas haTorah. This is the way to handle the situation for all times. And how do we handle the Yetzer Hara? And it's going to tell us the key right now. How do we handle the Yetzer Hara that is so powerful, that comes to us in a super powerful way? Says the Torah like this, Kol davar asher yavoi bo'esh ta'aviru bo'esh. When the Yetzer Hara comes to you with a fire, and he implants in you temptation, the want, the desire to do things which in an illusionary way seem like we really, really want them. The Torah tells us when the Yetzer Hara comes like a fire to us, ta'aviru bo'esh. We have to fight back with the Yetzer Hara. How? The Avera is b'chamin. The Avera comes with the heat of the moment that we run after a taiva. We run after something which we think is so good. That is done b'chamin. You did the Avera, so to speak, with gusto. The way to do tshuva for that, the way to fight the Yetzer Hara is hislavas the kedusha, says the Nesivos Shalom. And that's the lashon he uses. That you can't just sit down. You want to fight the Yetzer Hara, you can't just sit down and casually, as you would read a newspaper, you pick up a sefer, you go to do a chesed with slowly, you walk around, you take it easy. No, the way to fight the Yetzer Hara is to do mitzvahs, to learn, to be mekayim the Torah with a fire also. That's how we counter it. But when it's b'tzoinon, when it's the daily Yetzer Hara that gives us small challenges, then it might be good enough. You make a Kabbalah, you do something that next time you shouldn't be faced with such a challenge. But once again, when it's Eish, when it's fire, when the Yetzer Hara comes to you with the fire, you need to fight fire with fire. And this is what Elazar was telling Klal Yisrael. Zois chukas haTorah. This is a rule, and you need to know it. It was this way a few thousand years ago, and it's this way today. Zois chukas haTorah. The way to fight the Yetzer Hara is not by a casual fight sometimes. You need to come in a very, very powerful way and fight the Yetzer Hara. And Elazar was saying this dafka after Milchemes Midyan. Because the klipa of Midyan was that Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer Hara of Taiva, the Yetzer Hara that comes to us in such a powerful way. So the Torah waited to tell you that when you have a Yetzer Hara such as Milchemes Midyan, that's what you have to fight powerfully. More than Milchemes Sichon v'Oig. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us, just want to end off with this, we talk about Bein HaMitzarim once again. The Nesivos Shalom tells us we have an important lesson for the Bein HaMitzarim here also. Kol dovar asher yovoy bo'esh taviu bo'esh. Once again, our pasuk. And it could refer to, says in the Nesivos Shalom, the Beis HaMikdash. We have to think about, like we said at the beginning of the shir, the Beis HaMikdash. We say in Tfilas Nachem, which we say every year, and hopefully this year it'll be a Yom Tov already by Mincha on Tisha B'Av. But we say, bo'esh hitzata. We say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how did you destroy the Beis HaMikdash? You ignited it with fire. But we also say, and we're hopeful, we say, Uvo'esh ata osid livnoisa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you destroyed the Beis HaMikdash with fire. But you're also going to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash with fire. We replaced at that time Kedusha of Eish with Tumah at the time of the Churban. That's what we did. So Mida Keneged Mida. We know now from what we were learning, the way we said Ashir, that the Beis HaMikdash will be built also with fire. It was burnt with fire, and it will be built with fire. If we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Hislahavas, we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with enthusiasm for Torah and mitzvahs. The tikkun for what happened at the time of the Beis HaMikdash will be when we perform mitzvahs and we act to each other and to Achavera, Bein Adam L'Amakoim, Bein Adam L'Achavera, with Mesiras Nefesh. And Chazal tell us that we need to remember this. Kol shaloi nivne Beis HaMikdash biyamav. You think this is history. Chazal tell us no. You're all going to make the same mistake. And you need to know that anybody who doesn't have the Beis HaMikdash built in their days, ke'ilu nechrav biyamav. It's as if we were the generation that lived and watched and didn't do anything to help the fact that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. And it refers to, it says in the Nesivos Shalom, a very interesting thing. Kol shalei nivne Beis HaMikdash biyamav. He says biyamav could refer to, it makes it a little easier for us, Shabbosos. That Shabbos is the day of the week that's called Yom. And he brings a right, he says, right, Uberachtoy mikol hayomim. That Shabbos is blessed more than the other days. It is a day that's mesugal for the Eish of Kedusha. And it's through the Eish of Shabbos, says in Nesivos Shalom. During the week, we talk about it, we hope, we try, but it's very difficult sometimes. We're running with a rat race, it's terrible. Phones, this, that, emails, business. Even when you're running to good things, you're running Shabbos, you have a time to sit back. And it's a Shabbos during the 3 weeks, it's these 3 weeks. And Shabbos being the Yoim, Kol Shenivne, Kol Shalei Nivne Beis HaMikdash Biyamav. If you don't take advantage of the Shabbosos and at least use the Shabbosos of the 3 weeks to think about our relationship and how close we want to be with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how close Shabbos brings us and how close we want to live in the neighborhood with the Shekhinah again. We want the Beis HaMikdash to come back. Kol Shalei Nivne Beis HaMikdash Biyamav, Ilu Necha Biyamav. So let's use this Shabbos. If it's hard to do it during the week, of course we have to do it. I'm not telling you to push it off always for Shabbos, but it's hard. Before you turn around, Shabbos is here. Like we said, before you turn around, last year turned into this year, every week turns into Shabbos. Let's think about the Shabbos, how we could develop and come closer. Think about doing mitzvahs with Mesiras Nefesh, and with that, hopefully, in Ritz Hashem, will be Zoicha, that the Tisha B'Av that's coming up will be a Yom Tov.